Welcome to the New School of Marketing podcast, the place for smart, simple strategies that will amplify your business results. Sharing practical tips, insider knowledge, and actionable advice because marketing is something that every business owner can do. Now, let's get started. Introducing your host, Bianca McKenzie, mum, lover of snow sports, camping, horse riding, and in-demand launch strategist and Facebook advertising knowledge bank.
Welcome to the New School of Marketing podcast. I'm Bianca McKenzie, and today I'm talking all about conversion copy and how it's the most human-to-human writing you can do with Jay Crisp Crow. In her old life, Jay juggled a family, a disability, and a communications job that sucked the juice from her bones. Then she had firm words with herself, found her voice, and took her own gig on the road. Through Crisp Copy, Jay writes blow your hair back premium copy for brands, big and small, and teaches women in business how to write copy that sells through coaching, consulting, courses, and the So Crisp podcast. Some days she runs a business just as a middle finger to everyone who said she couldn't make a living writing or tells her she charges too much. Okay, we don't judge Jay. Motivation is different for everyone, which is totally cool. And a little fun fact about Jay is that she used to sing on the back of monster trucks for a living. I think that's seriously so cool. One, I didn't even know that we had like monster trucks in Australia. And secondly, yay, because you did my podcast intro with your beautiful singing voice. Welcome.
Well, thank you. I did. My mum always used to say that I'd wasted all of that education that she gave me. The Whopper certificate and all that kind of thing. But look, no, I'm putting it to good use for the people's podcast intros. I'm using it, Mum.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, totally cool to have you here. So did you do this in Australia, the monster truck thing?
Yeah. They used to have, I've done monster trucks in a lot of different places in Australia, in Queensland and in Perth. Yeah, they have them. I've sung usually they have the American guys used to come over, and then I'd sing the Australian national anthem on the back of the monster truck, and then I'd sing the American national anthem on the back of the monster truck. But fun fact about monster trucks, they don't have ladders. You have to climb up the wheels. Oh, God. So there's me in my little dress and my high heels, herking myself up a monster truck wheel.
Oh my God, that sounds pretty crazy.
It was fun.
All right, well, let's talk about what you do now. So we've known each other for a little while, and you talk about conversion copy. In fact, you're the conversion copy queen. So can you tell the listeners a little bit more about what conversion copy actually is?
I would love to. So conversion copy, I think, is one of my favorite things to talk about because it makes such a massive, massive difference in your business. It's not just content writing, which is what we all do, right? We all write content all of the time, even if it's just on social media. So content writing is about like informing and educating and inspiring, or like teaching something to your readers. And content writing is amazing. I'm not bagsing out content writing at all, because it can help your reader learn enough about what you're an authority in to get to the point where they're ready to understand what value you bring to the table so that they can buy your thing, right? But conversion copy gets them over the line. So instead of just like teaching them something all of the time, you're actually getting them to take a transformation from slightly interested reader to, oh my goodness, I need this thing, I have to buy it. So conversion copy kind of is a little bit of a mix of like structure and copy and data. It's not just all writing. So it can seem that it's like this up in the ether concept, but it's actually really grounded in the psychology of your ideal client and the development of your brand voice. And I know, Bianca, that you know that I bang on about brand voice all the time, being the most important thing in the world. Because I think that even though your brand is an entity, and this is where, like, I work predominantly with women, this is where we tend to get caught up in things. Our brand is a separate entity to us, but all of our ideal clients and customers are all humans. Until dogs figure out how to work the internet, we're just all selling to humans all the time. And we know that human hearts need human voices to connect to, because emotions are what makes our buying decision. We make all of our buying decisions, especially big, high risk, high money ones, with our emotional capacity. So if your kind of highfalutin copy doesn't sound like a human voice with human emotions, you're actually a step away from writing conversion copy, which is kind of the opposite of what everyone thinks, because everyone thinks that conversion copy is all about sales, 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 buy my thing, you're going to miss out, FOMO, FOMO. And it's not.
Thank you. So yeah, I guess we can use it in a lot of different ways as well. Like it's not just on your sales page or in your emails.
No, it should be everywhere. Like sometimes you're just writing content to, what I said before, to inspire someone or to educate them or to teach them something, or just to engage with them so they get to know you. But conversion copy belongs everywhere that you communicate with your people, from, yeah, definitely your sales pages. If you've got a sales page that doesn't have a conversion copy, then you don't really have a sales page, but also everywhere else. Like your homepage has a job, and that job is to get people to click to take that transformation to the next page. So social media copy, emails, everything you write.
So now that we know a little bit more about this, what are the type of actions you can get someone to take with conversion copy? And you sort of hinted a little bit on that already, because conversion copy, it's not only about sales, is it?
No, and I think that that's where people get a little bit scared and back away from the concept of it, because they think that conversion copy is about making the dollar, like at the time. And so conversion copy is about that. Like making the dollar at the time is fabulous and wonderful. But it's also about getting your reader to do something that they were kind of already thinking that they might need to do. So it's not like manipulative, because if I could manipulate people to do things just by reading my website, like I would be a Gaz billionaire. But it is that, so they're coming in and they're kind of like primed and ready already, because they need your thing. That's why they're there. But sometimes it's just about getting an email subscriber to click a button to read your blog. Like that's using conversion copy, because that transformation is taking them from, I'm a little bit interested in this, to I'm going to do a thing, which is click a button, so that I can get more. So I'm going to do a thing, like I'm going to click a button to read a blog from my email, or I'm going to sign up to a webinar. That's a really important, you need conversion copy on your like landing pages. Even little tiny things like if you've got a really chunky, lovely email list, but you've never segmented it, that was me. You can use conversion copy to get people to self-select into a certain segment, or like watch a video or share something. That's a big conversion copy tick, if you can get people to share things. So it is really utterly specific. It's getting those precious readers of yours who are slightly interested in your thing and who need your thing to do one single thing. So to click a button, to watch something, or to share something. It doesn't always have to be add to cart.
Yeah, I love it. And so I've gone through enough websites in my life to sometimes just be left hanging.
Yes.
What do you think is stopping most people from actually writing conversion copy? Like, why are people not telling us?
I think if you haven't had a copywriter's help, or you haven't really been exposed to this, and you're DIYing your own website, there's so much good advice out there, but a lot of it it's not kind of next level stuff. So you're just kind of filling in the blanks of what maybe your website designer has given you, and there's like a box and you're like, cripes, I better put some words in there. And then when you get to that next level stuff, it can feel like it's too salesy. And I know, as I said before, like 99% of my clients are women. I only teach women to write. But the overarching theme when we get to conversion copy is, I don't want to come off as a like spammy McSpammy sales pants.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest thing is not the biggest trick to conversion copy and starting to write it isn't about the writing. It's just about your head. So I think we've really got to move away from being scared of sales, because asking someone to take a transformation isn't sleazy at all. It's serving, like it's a service. And if you can transform your own thinking, which sometimes just means like when you're in the midst of the blinking cursor of death and you're like, I have no idea what to write here, or this is starting to feel a little bit weird and gross, like give yourself a little tap on the head every single time you start feeling wonky about asking for a sale or asking for money. Or even asking someone to, read your blog, and rejig that thinking into realizing that you're actually offering to serve your best favorite clients and customers every time you ask them to do that. And then it becomes a little bit easier. And I think also, like, there's nothing wrong with sales. They mean like a healthier business. They mean you can continue to grow what you offer. You can produce better work or products. We actually need people to do add to cart once in a while, because otherwise we're just creating a whole lot of free content for great people, which is really nice, but you're not building yourself something that means money in the bank so that you can continue to create whole wads of free content for good people. So the two things need to go hand in hand. And that's why I really think that conversion copy is actually the most human-to-human marketing you can write, because it drills right down into, I know you need this thing. And for you to be able to get this thing, you need to do a thing, and here's the thing you need to do.
Yeah.
So you just need to step people through that. Really, it's that simple. It's just the head stuff that we get in our own way with.
Yes, we do. So apart from getting you to write that for them, what can someone
good choice.
do? Totally. It's like, hey, you're my favorite copywriter.
Thanks.
So if someone's not quite there, what can someone do to create their own conversion copy? Where do they start?
Yeah. So it's so much easier when you break it down. It's like any big mean in your, where you're being mean to yourself in your own head, or you think the job is like way too big for you. You just have to break it down into like nibbles, like little chunky bits at a time. And like all writing that moves people to do something, it starts with figuring out who you are as a brand, which is all of that brand voice work, which is why I make everyone do that from the beginning in all the courses, and nobody ever wants to do it. They're like, I know who I am. But it really is about like really digging in and seeing, what do you want to stand for, and what are the words you want to use, and what legacy do you want to leave in the world, who your people are. And I know that every marketing expert ever bangs on about ideal client work, or customer avatar, or whatever you want to call it, but it really is so important, because how do you speak to people directly where they are if you don't know them that well? And then figuring out like what benefits, what are the promises that your brand makes, and what big fat juicy joy you're going to bring to their lives by getting them to do this thing. So you have to get out, when you're doing it yourself, you have to get out of the mindset that copywriting is purely creative. Because if you feel like you don't have a creative or a writing bone in your little body, the good news is that conversion copy doesn't solely rely on you being a writing whiz at all, because it's not just writing. It's part research. It is part creative. You've still got to do the writing, but then it's part data analysis. So, which means you've got a really nice mix of skills there that you can fall back on if one of your trifecta isn't as strong as the other. So you've got to know things like, what are your numbers? What's actually working? Like, we can write pretty things, but like, what's actually converting the reader into doing something? Why are they converting? And you know that why by having that brand voice that resonates with your people, but then testing and tweaking over and over again until you can duplicate the parts of your copy that helps your reader make that transformation from, oh, this is kind of interesting, to, oh my goodness, I have to have this product or this service. So it really is a step-by-step process. Pretty much anyone can do it. Not that I want to talk myself out of a job at all, but it really is about breaking those things down, teeny tiny step at a time.
Yeah, and what I love so much about, because I've done your course, what I love so much about that is, yes, every marketer will make you do the ideal client exercises, but not every marketer will make you do the who are you, what do you stand for, it's more looking outward than looking inward. And I love how you combine those two, because it is super important in like any piece of communication that you put out there for your business. So I think that's brilliant that you put those all together. Okay, so let's assume that someone has taken all these steps of getting into the psychology of their ideal clients, and they've attempted to write some conversion copy, or they've at least, thought about getting people to take an action, because I think that's the first step. It's like, okay, what do you want someone to do? And then you write the rest of it around it.
Mm-hmm.
So once they've written that, how can they then determine whether or not that copy is really working? Like, how do they, what kind of tips do you have about, is it actually converting?
Yeah, it's a really great. I love that you asked this question, because I think so much of what we think about conversion copy is like, if you outsource to a copywriter, like they deliver the thing and you put it up and like you're happy, and like if I've written the copy, I'm like all patting myself on the back because I'm like, this is brilliant. Who wouldn't want to buy this? A lot of the time when I'm writing sales pages, I actually talk myself into buying the thing that I'm writing for, which is really expensive. And then like I've nearly bought 2 interior design courses this year. Stop, Jay. But and then like if the client's like, this is great, like you've totally captured my brand voice and this is exactly what we would have said if we'd thought of these words, that's great. Like that's step 1. But that doesn't tell us if it actually is going to work for your audience. So when I write a sales page for a client, the job is never done at handover. And so it's really done 3 or 6 months after they publish the page, when we go back and see what's actually converting. And that can be the same for your, your Facebook ads or your social media copy.
Yep.
Yeah, you've got to go back and go, well, did this work? Because it can be pretty and it can be amazing and the graphic designer's done an incredible job and it all looks so swish. But if it didn't work, if it didn't get people to click on the button, then it's not conversion copy. It's just pretty words on a screen.
Yeah.
The other thing that you need to know is everyone, like most good copywriters will tell you that the power is in the edit. When you're writing conversion copy, your conversion copy first, second, 80-second draft, it's okay if it's total crud. Like it's all right if you read it and think, what the heck is that? That is such a darn mess. And I've gotten distracted and there's a bit of shiny object syndrome happening in here and I've got sidetracked and started talking about something else. That's okay in a draft. What has to happen is that you're editing, you take off your little writing hat and you think, well, thank goodness I'm done with that. But you put on your editing hat and you get super critical with yourself and you cull or add words depending on all of that pre-work stuff that you've done with your brand voice, with your ideal client psychology, and you figure out, have you ticked all the boxes in a really beautiful structure so that people are moved through the page to the big fat button. So it's never really write, publish, Bob's your uncle, you're done. It's always about going back and checking what's worked and then making tweaks and trying something new and making sure that you've answered objections, you've spoken directly to that heart of that ideal client, and making sure that you're not just happy with it the first time it goes up. You actually you check out your numbers and go, has this worked? If it hasn't, what do I need to do? Let's go back and revisit this one tiny section.
I love that. Like, it's probably one of the most powerful things that I've taken from you is that it is in the editing. And yes, when I read some of my first work back, I now cringe. But you know what? And this is why I wanted to talk about this as well, because I know so many people will kind of just write something and then go, oh, it's crap, and then walk away from it. They either don't publish it and the thing will never see the light, or they'll just publish it and go, okay, well, I've done that, tick that off my box. But then they don't actually go back and look at, how it is performing. And it is like that. We have to constantly tweak, test. And sometimes it could just be as simple as changing the words on a button, or even just changing the color of a button.
Changing the color. Yeah, you're totally right. I think the biggest thing for me always especially with sales pages, which is where conversion copy really comes into its own, it's usually the headline for me, because I've written like 50 headlines for something, but if that headline isn't converting that reader from I'm a little bit interested to, I want to read the rest of the page. So even that's a conversion without them clicking something. I'm just looking for the conversion to make them scroll one time.
Yeah.
Then that's where I usually start. And a lot of the time for people who are trying to do it themselves, it's about like listening, because sometimes we think we know our ideal client, and then we launch a course or something like that, and then our ideal client changes just a little bit. And if we don't listen to that feedback that people are giving us, like when I launched the Chris Bobby class, I was absolutely 100% sure from all of the women that I had worked with one-on-one that helped me create the course, that I knew what would get them over the line in that above the fold, which is, all the words that are on top before you start to scroll. I knew, like I was 100%. And then I ran the course twice. and started collating back all of the feedback about what women said they joined the course for and what they thought that they got out of it. And the one word that I had not used anywhere on my sales page was the word confidence. And so then I realized that I was completely off about what I was selling, because the women that came into the course didn't really want to be taught copywriting. They already had the words buried deep down inside. They wanted to be first made to feel confident enough that those were the right words to use, and then I could teach them copywriting to put into a structure.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even I was selling the second most important thing for like a year and a half.
Hey, but you know what? That's how we learn, right? And this is why
Yeah.
it pays to listen and to to really even use the words that your ideal
steal other
clients.
people's.
Exactly. You don't even have to come up with your own words.
No.
Use the words that your ideal clients are using.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
that's, I guess half the battle done. Yeah, no, I love it. Conversion copy is, I still find it tricky, but I know now from you that it is in the editing, and don't give up after one go. And if you really just are a little bit like me, just give it to Jay to do.
Yep, that's always an option. You know where I am.
All right. Yeah. One more thing I wanted to add, because I know that you use a few tools as well to look at, what is working, especially on sales pages. I know of Hotjar to see where people are clicking and things like that. Do you have any other tools that people can use?
Hotjar is probably my favorite. And the other thing that I really, really love is, because I always encourage, if people are going to buy a sales page from me, which is, as I said, again, the bit where conversion copy really comes into its own, then usually I want to make sure that they have an entire launch process around that sales page. So Hotjar is awesome, especially for that above the fold stuff. Like if you're losing people a third of the way through your sales page and nobody's reading the bottom, like what is it there for? Like, and so many clients, you'd be surprised at how many clients would be like, no, I definitely want a 3,000 word sales page. And I just think, well, that's okay, but I could probably bet money that no one's going to read the last 2,000 words of that thing.
Yeah.
So, so there's that. But so Hotjar is really good for that. But also I always really want to know from a client, even if I'm not writing their launch emails, I want to know from a client, like, what is the click-through rate from the emails, which is really important and so helpful. And what is the click-through rate from like any advertising they're doing from Facebook? Because if we know those two numbers, then we know what we should be getting between, 2 and 4% for the conversion rate on the sales page. So you don't have to install anything amazing if you've got things like Facebook ads and have an email that's sending people directly to the thing that you're trying to sell. You can collect data from those places too.
It's all about the data.
It really is. It's so unsexy. People are like, I'm not a good creative writer. I'm like, that's okay. Can you read a spreadsheet?
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. Is that?
Yawn.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Awesome. Well, that's the end of these questions. And I've got a few more extra questions for you. I'd love to know what you are curious about right now.
So I'm at this point where I've been in business for, Chris Copy's been running for about 5 years. I've been in business for about 2 years before that. And Bianca, we're friends on Facebook. So you've seen me go like, should I start an agency? So what I'm really super curious about right now is like how to take this that I work with thousands of women every single year through all of those courses and things like that, and to really blow it up. So right now I'm really excited about figuring that kind of stuff out. So it's like, it's not really got to do with copywriting, which is kind of exciting. I get to like stretch my business brain a little bit, which when I started this business, I actually didn't think I owned one. So, so that's what I'm spending a lot of time thinking about. I know that there are options and I know that they work for other people, but how do I want that to look like?
Yeah.
And when I started this business, I just wanted a business that I was paid to write. And 5-6 years later down the track, suddenly I'm like, now I want to leave a legacy. It's become bigger than me. And I'm just trying to figure out how to make that work so that it is bigger than me, but I'm still, there's beauty in it being small. Yeah. So that's
I
kind of
love
where
it.
I'm at right now.
Well,
Yeah.
watch this space. I can't wait
Yeah.
to see what the next 5 years bring.
Yeah,
Cool.
me too.
All right. So, and if you had an extra $1,000 in your marketing budget, what would you spend it on?
Oh, I had an initial reaction to this, and then I thought Bianca's going to just think that I'm blowing smoke up her patootie, but I'm definitely not. Like, I've seen when I started working with you, Bianca, I was like, I want to sell this course, and you were like, great, build your list. And I was like, what? I don't want to take a step backwards and build my list. But if I had $1,000, I would put even more of it into Facebook ads to build my email list, because my email list is the biggest return on investment that I own, and it sells courses out amazingly well and sells consulting out. And so, yep, if I had $1,000, it would go on Facebook ads.
I love it. I love it. And yes, emails is the place to be for courses anyway.
Yep.
Alrighty. Well, that's the end of this week's show. If you have any questions about conversion copy or any kind of copy really, like Jay's a bit of an about page queen as well, head to crispcopy.com.au. Thanks so much for joining me, Jay. I really enjoyed it. I was nodding my head all the way through.
Good. Oh, that's helpful.
Yes.
Well,
and thanks everyone else for listening. If you like the show, don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star rating and review on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you heard the podcast. Your review will help others find the show and learn more about the amazing world of online marketing. Oh, and don't forget to check out the show notes for this episode at newschoolofmarketing.com, where you can learn more about Jay, check out useful links, download free resources, and leave a comment about the show.